welcome to Kingston Now. This week we'll head out to Uptown Kingston and introduce you to Domonick's Cafe, an uptown mainstay. We'll talk about a great benefit coming to Bard College in June, starring Natalie Merchant with Renee Fillette of the Grace Smith House. And we'll start with Lana Chassman of the Hudson River Maritime Museum. Hi, Lana.
Hi, how are you,
Good.
Jimmy?
Now, you're on our turf. Last time we were at the Maritime Museum,
yes.
We were down on the waterfront.
Yes.
And
now I'm your guest.
Yeah. I have to say, it's one of my favorite places in Kingston,
you.
in the area, actually. It is just so well done. Mm-hmm. What is the history of the Maritime Museum? When did it get started?
Well, actually, it got started around 1980. A group of steamboat enthusiasts got together and felt that Kingston deserved a museum celebrating the history of the river. And basically they formed together and they formed the Hudson River Maritime Center at that point. And then in 1983, it moved to its current location, which is an old boat building warehouse and has had a long history of other buildings being there, other businesses being there. So in 1983, it became the Hudson River Maritime Museum. It has an educational charter, and its purpose basically is to preserve, educate, and provide a destination with river access for all the residents of the region and visitors as well. Tourism has become one of our primary benefits as well to the region, and so we cover all the industries that were flourishing in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So you really get to kind of take a trip back in time and look and see what it must have looked like to have horses standing on ice doing ice harvesting, ice yachting, brick making, cement making, boat building. It's just a fabulous array of industries that flourished during that time period and made Rondout really the center of the universe, as some of the old-timers around Kingston tell me.
I mean, the river was such an important aspect to life. I mean, it ran right up
everything.
Everything.
I mean, it was basically,
it
was basically the whole transportation route. So it really is a look back in our history of America, where this was an incredibly vibrant area. And many people know that Rosendale Cement was boated or shipped up to Manhattan, and many things in Manhattan, like bluestone and the cement, were actually harvested in the Kingston region and the Rondout region, and then shipped up on the sloops and the schooners up to Manhattan and built Manhattan. So it's just amazing.
And not to mention the steamboat trips, the day trips that people would take up from New York City to come up for vacation, for summer vacation, or just for some sightseeing.
Yes, and go to the Catskill Mountain House. So basically you have people working very hard, making money, coming to our country, making it their country, working very hard, making money, and then having leisure time. So leisure time then supported the steamboat industry as well, taking, like you say, these beautiful moving palaces with chandeliers and organs and beautiful dress and men with top hats. I could just see you sitting there.
You've got great displays at the museum covering all this stuff.
Oh gosh, we have a wonderful curator, Lynn Lang, and her husband, Russ Lang, who was our acting director for a number of years and is still on our board, thankfully, and he is in charge of exhibitions. And he has incredible taste, and we have some really super volunteers that have contributed their talents, one being a gentleman who was a carpenter and exhibitions worker at the American Museum of Natural History before he retired. And so we are the happy recipients of Ron.
Well, the quality at the museum is just extraordinary. Now you have the home port, the Clearwater home port. You guys share this wonderful building that went up in that barn raising last September.
Yes.
And they've been in it for most of the season, refitting the Clearwater.
Correct.
But now it's your turn.
It's our turn.
So what's going to happen?
Well, basically we have 6 months in and 6 months out. We're April 15th to October 14th is our time, and October 15th through April 14th is the Clearwater's time to use it as a basically a boat building repair shop, maintenance, restoration area. And it's unbelievable. The equipment is absolutely huge. It's like something out of a sci-fi film when you walk in there. Huge boards are being planed, and I've learned all about Purple Heart wood, which is absolutely incredible.
And seriously dense. I was
it is unbelievable. There's no way you could move this.
So
and then when we come in, we're actually starting out. We had our first lecture series recently, and we're going to be having all of our Follow the River lecture series there on Wednesday evenings, once a month. We will have our family day at the Maritime, which will be on Thursdays, and we'll stay open late until 8, and have very informal, family-friendly exhibitions and discussions about kayaking and the water chestnut harvester, and a mini art exhibit from a local watercolorist. Really fun things. And then we'll also have our Cinema Sundays, which we're going to have on the 4th Sunday of each month that we're in the home port. And those will be classic and independent films. And so we're very, very excited.
And you've got your first event coming up very soon. It is Captain Nick Rogers of the
Yes,
Clearwater
yes.
is going to sort of look back at their first season,
Right.
retrofitting the Clearwater, which included taking off the boards from the hull.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Getting right into the skeleton of the boat.
Well, basically, I went onto the barge, and it's really interesting because the boat has had certain parts taken off in Albany. Then it was lifted onto a cradle on the Black Diamond barge, which is a Kingston barge, a Rondout barge, pushed by the tug Cornell, and the whole entourage literally rounded the bend 3 days to the exact date. September 15th, the barn raising, which you were at. December the 15th, she came around the bend about 2:50 in the afternoon, and it was actually, hair stood up on everybody's
well,
skin.
because for over 40 years,
Right.
the Clearwater never had a home. She was like the Flying Dutchman, and now
That's
she has a
right,
home.
right. And then I hear that this is the first time they've had, like the amenities that one would like to have in a workshop, and they can be warm as well. They're not working out in the elements, although many of them have been back and forth.
Well,
but she's
seamen,
yes,
all,
absolutely,
right?
and sea women, yes. And they built a frame over the boat, like an A-frame house, and then they tarped it. And then Sandy came and ripped some of the tarps off, and they put it all back. So it's like a big cocoon or mushroom that just kind of sits there. I like to think of it as a big white donut, actually, that's very covered and very cloistered. And you can go in there and actually walk underneath the boat, and it is amazing.
And so the museum is open now from...
We will already be open. We open on May the 4th to the public, which is already passed. And we will be open every single day until November the 3rd. So we open on a Saturday and we close on a Sunday. We're open from 11 to 5, except for that special Thursday family day at the museum, and we'll be open till 8. But we've got all kinds of events planned, and so it's going to be really, really and I think it will make everybody in Kingston, Ulster County, Dutchess County, the Hudson Valley region extremely proud.
Terrific. Well, Lana, we appreciate you stopping by
Thank
today.
you.
I can't wait to get down to the museum.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're watching Kingston Now. Next, we're going to talk with Renee Fillette, the executive director of the Grace Smith House in Poughkeepsie, about a big anti-domestic violence benefit happening at Bard College in June and starring Natalie Merchant. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Kingston Now. There are 2 domestic violence shelters locally, the Washburn House in Ulster County and the Grace Smith House in Dutchess County. Joining us now is the executive director of the Grace Smith House, Renee Fillette. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you.
Now, domestic violence on the sort of social radar has existed probably for, what, 25, 30 years. That
right.
It's become a cause and an issue and something that we want to raise awareness about. It seems like after all that time, it would almost be eradicated, but that's not the case, is it?
You'd think so, but really the rate of domestic homicides as far as women are concerned, the number of women being murdered by their intimate partners is exactly the same now as it was 30 years ago. However, the number of men being murdered in intimate partner relationships has decreased by about 70%. So we've been effectively saving men's lives over the past 30 years, but not so effectively saving women's lives.
And we're largely talking about women here, aren't we? I mean, we
are.
had this great event a couple months ago called 1 Billion Rising.
Correct.
Which was a call to action around the world, and it was pointed out that something like 1 in every 3 women around the world would be a victim of either sexual or domestic violence.
Yes.
It's an extraordinary, it's like 2 billion people, right?
It really is. You know, when I'm giving a talk to a group of a couple hundred people, I just look around in the room and I just think how many of these women here have already been victimized, how many of these young girls will be victimized. It's just staggering.
So what do we do about it today? What are we doing? What are some of the things that are...
Well, what we've done about it for the past 30 years is we've intervened. We've created shelters. We've created programs for safety and advocacy for victims. But what we need to do now is we need to look towards prevention. And that's what we're doing over in Dutchess County, is we're saturating the school districts with the message, education, teaching people to be active bystanders. What's perpetuated domestic violence all of these years is this notion that what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. And what we're trying to do is really flesh that out and expose that. So having involvement of men, for example, in our organization is so critical, because it's really that subculture and that conversation that's happening at the bar or at the dinner table that says, you know, those jokes aren't funny, or it's that slang isn't funny, or I'm not going to watch that football team because I know he sexually assaulted someone. It's really creating that subculture from the inside out that's going to change.
You're getting some big support with a benefit concert taking place on June 2nd at the Fisher Center at Bard College, which first off is an extraordinary venue, but you've got some extraordinary women showing up to support the Grace Smith House and the Washburn House. You've got Natalie Merchant, you've got Amy Helm, Simi Stone will be there, Elizabeth Mitchell, and Young Chen Lama, who is a Tibetan singer of just an extraordinary grace and beauty. How did that come about? How did that
can't
benefit?
wait. Well, from what I hear, Natalie Merchant was inspired by her participation in the 1 Billion Rising event that was here in Kingston, and she was shocked by the fact that the people that were being violated in this way were just her neighbors, and sort of the sense that the peace and tranquility that she was finding for herself, and that she, like many of us had thought her neighbors were finding, in fact wasn't the case. And behind closed doors that these violations were happening all the time. And I think she referenced a homicide of a woman that took place in Stone Ridge.
Which was just shortly after the 1 Billion Rising event, as I recall.
Yes,
Yeah, so you've got these great performers coming out to support the cause. What will happen with the money that's raised that night?
The money will be going to both our shelter and our sisters over at the Ulster County shelter, and so they'll support our programs. They'll support our advocacy work. They'll support the actual operations of our shelter programs, and for us, they'll also support our prevention efforts.
Tell people about what goes on at the Grace Smith House. If someone's watching this right now and they're, for instance, wondering if they are a victim of domestic violence and they want to get some help.
Right.
What happens when they come to the Grace Smith House?
Well, the first most important thing to know is that we have this 24-hour hotline. Both of our programs do. And so a victim would call the hotline, and no matter where they are, even if they're just thinking, I don't feel safe in my relationship, or they know they're not safe in their relationship and they need to leave and they need help, no matter where they are, they can call that number 24 hours a day and get someone skilled on the other end of that phone to talk to them, get a sense of where they're at, give them some advice. If they need to leave their home, we can both help them with coming into shelter. And most often people come to our shelters with nothing. So they've had to leave literally in the middle of the night. They've had to sneak out. They've had to go through extreme precautions with getting their children to safety. And they can come and they can stay with us in either of our programs for a matter of months. And our goal is to help them achieve their goals when they come to us. So maybe employment, maybe relocation, maybe even out of state if they need that level of safety. Employment, housing, education, whatever it is that they need to be able to live the life they want to live.
And confidentiality, obviously, for someone who's afraid is paramount, and that is probably the most important thing that you guys protect.
It absolutely is. You don't even have to give us your name when you call. So we understand that this is a non-discriminatory crime. So we have women who are of extreme wealth that would call us for help, and we have women who are in poverty that call us for help. And we understand that the anonymity is a form of self-protection, and we really respect that. Nobody could ever call our shelter, even 20 years from now, and say, hey, was this woman at your shelter 20 years ago? We would never divulge that information.
And both Ulster County and Dutchess County have district attorneys who are very, very supportive of the effort to eradicate domestic violence in both places.
We do. Holly Carnwright and Bill Grady, both very aggressive, very supportive district attorneys, right?
Terrific. Well, thank you for stopping by today. And the benefit, again, is called Shelter, and it's on June 2nd, and people can get tickets through the BARD website.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. This is Kingston Now. Next, we're going to head out to the corner of North Front and John Streets in Uptown Kingston and introduce you to the good folks at Domonick's Cafe. You're watching Kingston Now. One of the anchors of Uptown Kingston is Domonick's Cafe. Let's head over there and find out why.
Hi, I'm Dominick Vanacore. This is Domonick's Cafe at Dreamweavers in Uptown Kingston. I've been here for 17 years. The salon came first. The salon has been in Kingston for about 35 years. We bought this building with the salon, and originally this building was 4 different storefronts on this floor and office space on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And we just slowly took over the building little by little, trying to be seen. The salon moved into the building. We bought the building. The storefront, which you're standing in right now, which is half of the cafe as it exists as right now, is the only part of the building that can be seen from the street. So when we were in the back of the building, we kind of figured the front of the building was where we needed to be. So what I did was I broke through the walls and turned the existing storefront, which everybody remembers as Fanny Farmer, into a coffee bar, entrance lounge for the salon with a retail center in it. Then throughout a year or two we were into that, the gym, which I had on the 2nd and 3rd floor, expanded to the 1st floor, and we moved the salon into the back part of the cafe. And then Bread Alone took over the corner. Bread Alone was here for about 7 years. Throughout that time I realized that the space was too small for a cafe to run properly. Bread Alone left, and we did a remodeling. This gym took over the whole 2nd floor of the building, and the salon moved back into the spot that it is in right now. We remodeled that room back to as much of its original grandeur as could possibly be restored. And then we opened up this storefront to be the double store it is now. The building was built originally as one big store, so it's a cornerstone landmark building that was built in 1892 by Mr. Bernstein. So we kind of tried to bring back as much of what was still existing and then added to it from there. And now we have the cafe here and my salon in the other room. The gym has now moved across the street and is purchasing the building, Signature Fitness, and we now have hotel rooms on the 2nd floor because that was the next best thing or best use I figured that could be used to utilize this building properly. So that's where we are right now. So the salon is in the middle, and the cafe and the hotel rooms are kind of additions to. So the hotel is Sweet Dreams at Dreamweavers, the cafe is Domonick's at Dreamweavers, and the salon is Dreamweavers, of course. What's on the menu at the cafe? We designed, what happened is we took this cafe over, because I first initially rented it out. We took it over. My family is cooking maestros for 60 years. All of the idea premise of this cafe is my and my cousin's grandmother's kitchen. We had sisters, our grandmothers, and they just were cooking maestros. So we decided there's 4 of my grandmother and her 3 sisters, 4 of their children and grandchildren cook and work in this cafe. So we cook food for all day, as we call it, because we could have breakfast, lunch, you could have pasta and meatballs, you could have sauce, you can take sauce home, you can have the best Italian cookies, you can have fruit salad, you can have omelets, French toast, so, and it changes all the time. We have staples that are always here, but we change things up. So there's always specials and stuffed peppers and eggplant parm, and one of our main goals that we try to achieve is clean, salt-free, chemical-free, close to farm, close to home. That's the food that we serve here. I mean, our eggs are fresh, Feather Ridge. We have nothing that has high fructose corn syrup down to organic Heinz ketchup. And I kind of tell people that if I wouldn't serve it to my nieces and nephews, then you're not going to get it. We do catering, we do lunches, do cookie platters for holidays or birthdays or events. We do, breakfast. You could have breakfast and your partner could have lunch. We serve breakfast all day. The best coffee. Salon service, you can get everything. It's pretty much a full service salon. Master stylist. I've been a hairstylist for 30 years, trained by my mother, who's world, internationally famous hairstylist. She's an educator. My sister is a master nail technician. So the three of us work in the salon also. We also have, I guess you call it multicultural, because we have Ella, who also works on Mondays and Wednesdays here, who does African American hair, weaves, and that kind of stuff. And that's basically the salon. The hotel upstairs, I call it the boutique guest rooms. There's 2 rooms. They can be adjoining, so they become a suite. They're available nightly, weekly, there's different packages depending on how long you'd want to stay in there. You know what I mean? And then we have a 3rd floor. The 3rd floor, the penthouse I created for myself, I now rent out, but there's also the rooftop deck, which people have access to from the hotel and from, anybody actually can go up there. But. Hi, I'm Dominick Vanacore. Come see us at Dreamweavers Style and Health Center, which consists of Domonick's Cafe, the salon at Dreamweavers, and Sweet Dreams, our boutique hotel rooms. The cafe is open 7 days a week. Sundays 9 to 4, the rest is 8 to 5. The salon is by appointment, and the hotel is open whenever we have availability. DominicksCafe.com, which also would link to the Sweet Dreams website, which is sweetdreamskingstonny.com.
That's it for this week's show. Our thanks to Lana Chassman of the Hudson River Maritime Museum. Find them online at hrmm.org. Thanks to Renee Fillette of the Grace Smith House. To find out more about them, go to gracesmithhouse.org. Remember, all of our shows are now archived on our YouTube channel, and you can find that link on our Facebook page. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. We'll see you next time.